Hello and welcome to another Moment of Consequence, our battle report series. This time we have myself, Barrett, against Nathan. We are playing 1600 points competitive tournament rule set. Take the relic using our streamlined setup rules to set up the battle. He's playing his Tomb Kings, I'm playing my Lizardmen, and without further ado, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Moments of Consequence, our battle report series. This is going to be me, Barrett, versus Nathan. We are playing 1600 points, take the relic. He is bringing his Tomb Kings, and I am bringing my Lizardmen. And here are a couple shots of the battlefield. Nathan, why don't you go ahead and lead us off with telling us what you have brought today.
Starting over here, we have 10 skeleton heavy cavalry with light armor, shield, and spears. I've got 3 Ushapti. Back here, I've got 7. He's turned around. 7 skeleton light cavalry with a level 2 on steed. Over here, I've got 12 skeletons with bows with a level 1 psyker or wizard. Up here, I've got 16 tomb guard with light armor, shield, and hand weapons with a level 1. A familiar, and a mummy king, which is a lord. Got a bone giant, and 16 skeletons with light armor, shield, and spears.
All right, for my Lizardmen today, I left the slants at home, and I have starting over here, I have a Saurus hero on a Carnosaur. He is the general of the army. I've got 10 Saurus warriors with hand weapon shield. I've got 15 skink with hand weapon and shield with 2 Croxagores. Looks like I have a skink down. Gotta get him out of there. The casualty of setup. With a champion, Teeny Weeny, the special character. He has the banner of Sotek, which allows me to forward deploy my 3 jungle swarms. And then also another level 1 priest. He is dark. Teeny Weeny is jade. Finally, rounding out, I have a unit of Great Crested Skink Cold One Riders and a Saurus hero on Cold One accompanying that unit of 10. And that is the 1600 points of Lizardmen. At the end of turn 1, top of turn 1, the Lizardmen rearranged and moved up just a little bit.
At the end of the bottom of turn 1, the Tomb Kings moved up, the Bone Giant and the Skeleton Heavy Cavalry charged in. Sadly, I did not roll perfect and did not kill them all. We're in an okay spot though. The rest kind of shifted over. We shot the Carnosaur. I hit pretty well, but 6 is the wound, didn't get any, and shrugged that right off. And that's it.
All right, at the end of the top of turn 2, the Lizardmen moved forward. At the end of the top of turn 1, we captured the relic, and the Amethyst Wizard came back in the bunker. The Great Crested Skinks charged the no longer existent heavy skeleton knights, destroyed them through combat res. The Bone Giant is unbreakable, so he did not care. Over here we had the combat with the Carnosaur, who has the Berserker Sword, giving him Strength 6 Frenzy, so both him and his mount have 7 attacks each for a combined 14 attacks, and did all but 1 wound and wouldn't have been able to overrun anyways because he would have destroyed the unit via combat res and not through outright slaying them. So wouldn't have been able to overrun anyways, but kind of got a little bit of a log jam here at the middle. Magic phase, I got both of my spells to cast, but he dispelled both of them with dispel cards. And at the end of the turn, there was really not a lot of magic casted, so that is the end of top of turn 2.
So over here we have the Ushapti who charged in, helped the Bone Giant. They clapped a lot of the red-crested skinks. He actually did a couple wounds to the bone giant, but I recovered those with Raised Dead during the magic phase. We popped a bunch of shots into the Carnosaur over here, didn't do anything, even though he was in combat, rolled pretty unlucky again, and then he ended up killing the Skelly, obviously. Jade Casket went off. We have another Swarm, pretty close. Gaze into Gash also went off. Only killed 2 Sauruses, though. Or Saurii, I don't know how to say that.
I think Saurii.
Saurii, yeah, but could have been worse. So that's it. Bottom of turn 2.
All right, so for the top of turn 3, the Lizardmen turn, we had a couple of shuffling around the objective. The skink unit shuffled here to the left 3 inches. In this combat, these units died right here. These models ended up dying. And the Bone Giant is down to just 1 wound left in this combat with the hero, what's left of the Cold One, Great Crested Skinks, and the Jungle Swarm. These Saurus stayed touching the objective but shimmied up. The Carnosaur charged and killed a number, but more came back than what originally started there. Even though we killed the Mummy level 1 priest, the level 1 wizard, we still had a rank 2 Raise the Dead go off that gave him 2d6. That gave him 2d6 zombies, skeletons back up with him. So, and then just some shuffling around the objective. Combat was kind of mute, and we are on to the bottom of turn 3. Also, just wanted to add that the Jade Wizard Teeny Weeny lost his spell to a destroy spell, dispel card, and it was took away his Jade Casket. All right, on the bottom of turn 3, the Tomb King turn, there was some shuffling about the board. The archers came about 8 inches to their right to continue to harass this side of the flank. The Tomb Guard with the banner icon over calf faced just ever so slightly better, charged into the Saurii, who fled, and everything passed their leadership check around the fleeing unit. In melee, the Carnosaur up top destroyed a bunch of skeletons. However, as you see, there's even more than last time. And over here, the Bone Giant finally did die, and so did the Great Crested Skink Cold One Riders. All in all, in the magic phase, finally at the bottom of turn 3, fireworks started to really happen. Purple Son of Xerxes got off from this wizard right here and was casted down the line. The wizard failed the Lookout Sir and was succumbed to the Great Ball of Energy as well as 7 skeleton. So that Tomb Guard, so that unit is operating at about half strength. However, Rank 2 Raise the Dead went off on this unit again, raising 10 more skeletons, effectively negating and even putting me backwards in my goal of getting that unit destroyed. So quite the tar pit for the Carnosaur on that side of the field. And that was the bottom of turn 3.
Top of turn 4 for the Lizardmen. We had the combat up here. The Saurii hero and Nehekara kind of traded blows. They both died. This eternal combat still going on. Over here, this big Saurus on the Carnosaur smoked all of the little archers. And then in magic phase, we had a really good dispel by Barrett on the rank 2 Raise the Dead, trying to make another unit over here to keep the attention of the Carnosaur, but alas, he's free.
All right, for the bottom of turn 4, the Tomb Guard unit went to touch the middle take, the relic, went to go touch the objective, while the skirmishing unit of horse archers with the level 2 wizard is still in the backfield just trying to cast spells. In the magic phase, super consequential. The skink priest ended up casting Purple Son of Xerxes again after it fell off the table in the last magic phase. He casted it again to do 11 more wounds to this Tomb Guard unit after it had been rank 1 Raised the Dead and got up a boxcar, got a 6 up of the guys, only for them to get crumbled right back down with that spell. Over here, super consequential as well. Rank 2, Raise the Dead also went off, and unfortunately he rolled a 3, so did not get to raise the unit to keep that Carnosaurus unit engaged. So that was the end of the bottom of turn 4. All right, at the end of the top of turn 5, the Lizardmen scooted over to touch the objective. The Saurus charged in, lost a Saurus, took out a Tomb Guard as well, really fluffed their attacks. This combat finally ended after this epic long, battle-long fight. The Ushapti came out victorious. In the magic phase, Teeny Weeny used Drain Magic. He had been sitting on it all game, and he had to survive a Perilous 4-up to live. On a 1, 2, 3, he got to keep his magic item on a level, and on a 4, 5, 6, he lost it and then would have died, thus killing my BSB as well, which has been instrumental this battle. And the Carnosaur just turned around, and there was no Raise the Dead because magic was drained. That was the end of the top of turn 5. All right, at the end of the battle ended at the bottom of turn 5. The Ushapti charged in, died. They tried to create one more unit, and Purple Sun of Xerxes, the true MVP, casted one more time, killed 2 more of those skeleton to get a grand total of 4 units left in the regiment, and 4 is not a scoring unit any longer. So the Lizardmen come away with the objective, and we will see you right after this for the postgame. All right, I've got Nathan here, post-game of our battle that we just had. Nathan, great game, 1,600 points. Take the relic, oblique, slanted deployment. It was a lot of fun. Your Kimry look awesome. Good job, buddy.
I just got a lot of them finished up. It's good to get them on the board.
Yeah, I love your paint scheme. You're really pushing, like, contrast. You're just blending contrast with speed and like, quick touch-ups to get them just above battle quality, like so fast. It's really remarkable to see, and the amount of progress you've done, and I'm sure it won't be the last. So I can't wait to see more units out there. Good work, buddy.
They'll be there soon.
So let's talk. I want to talk real quick about like a big meta thing, real quick in like Warhammer Renaissance. So I've talked to a couple of guys, and I think the biggest focus with Warhammer Renaissance is the Magic phase. I think the Magic phase is the most interesting phase of the game, and it was incredibly consequential tonight in our game, and we're going to dive into that. But like, do you think, just right off the bat, with all the additions we've played, do you think that the Magic phase is overpowered, underpowered, the right spice? Like, where do you rank the Magic phase and its power right now?
I think it's in the right spot, even after it did not go my way tonight.
Right. Right.
This is a one-off. Typically, though, if you want to bring a little bit of defense, a little bit of magic, most armies do that. In our meta, we don't go that deep, usually. So the output tonight, magic-wise, was incredible. I got Purple Sun off 3 times from a level 1.
From just a level 1.
We didn't go deep. We didn't bring level 4s. It all happened with level 2s and 1s.
Yep. Yeah, and so when he was able to just continue to get that off, that really was a difference maker. But you said too, as we were playing the game, you're like, you just have never had that much magical output. It reminds me of the game. Kendall will never listen to these episodes. I always put little Easter eggs in here to see if he listens. But
back in the day.
But back in the day, this was the game. This was the spell, Purple Sun of Xerxes. It was the spell that ended our 8th edition Warhammer, because I Purple Sun the dwarves off the table with just one spell. It moved right down a line, and it felt that powerful again, even just for a fleeting moment. But your necromancy spells still did awesome. I think you had some great spells that you casted. What about some of the spells you got off today that were really good?
Big ones that I didn't really get Macabre off. It didn't come into play. That wizard got smoked over here in that unit. But the big ones were just rank 1 or rank 2 Raise the Dead. I mean, from keeping that archer unit alive to fight the Carnosaur and trying to spawn him to keep the frenzy bad guy away. We joked a lot about that. Just go this way, go this way. Frenzy, which is the downfall of Frenzy, you got to keep charging. So, but just the attrition that brings. I mean, I brought back a dozen wounds every phase.
It really did feel that way.
No, you're lucky that was really killy. Just a little bit less killy. I stay there and it's just eternal combat. You don't get out. You can get locked up.
Right. I really did feel like your spells were as powerful as always. I've said forever, I think Necromantic is the best lore in the game. I think it's very, very strong and has so much utility between Dance and Raise Dead and Gaze of Nagash. Don't forget about that spell. That spell's great. Even though that wizard died early, just the threat of having that on the board is really, really good. So so I think Magic's in a really good spot if you have access to good lores. If you don't have access to some of these lores that we're talking about, then I can see how it would be brutal. Necromancy's so good.
They all have really good spells. I mean, Necromancy has Macabre as their one cast. It doesn't mess with another unit like Amber and a lot of other like Orcs and Goblins.
Or a natural dispel.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of that, but it's more for keeping that army going. Right. You know, I use Gaze of Nagash to try to smack that one guy. You know, I tried to get it on the Sauruses because that's it. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
The Saurii, I just didn't get good rolls on it, but Strength 4 and Armor Save allowed. A lot of the spells, though, I don't bring a whole lot. I mean, some of them I don't find a lot of utility. I don't like getting my Cyclone to combat for those melee spells. And
Sure.
It's not a Savage Orc, you know, but...
Yeah, the Carnosaur ended up ripping through. What a good piece that was. You're talking about how you kept respawning wounds into your unit only for the Carnosaur to inflict even more damage. But Frenzy was really good. So I brought the Frenzy sword, the Berserker sword, with my Carnosaur, and the rationale is that I'm already Frenzy. So why not lean into that even harder? And it's a great sword, but it's kind of like, that's kind of a drawback is to gain that Frenzy. But it's +1 strength and Frenzy.
It's good. It's worth it.
So it's +3 attacks and +1 strength. That's his utility. I mean, strength 5 and strength 6 is a massive difference. 4 attacks to 7 attacks to match the 7 attacks that my Carnosaur then gets. So a total of 14 attacks in that profile chassis is really, really strong at strength 6, strength 7. Yeah. And the Carnosaur's D3 wounds. So I hoped it got to the Bone Giant because the Carnosaur would have absolutely shredded the Bone Giant. But she ran the Bone Giant the other way. You said it was a misplay. I thought it was the correct play. I thought it was
the only thing I had to really stop that Carnosaur. When I saw you ringing that in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I don't have a lot to deal with that. The Mummy, he'll get torched. The Bone Giant, probably not going to go well. Ushopti, maybe I get lucky, but you know, I tried to stay away and shoot it to death and didn't get very lucky. A couple weeks ago, I got very lucky against Dawson with that same thing. Yeah. It can go both ways with Kimry and the Asperos, which are pretty strong because you don't suffer any negative modifiers, so I'm hitting on 4s.
Yeah, that reminds me of the unit that you brought that was really, really good tonight was, I thought, your light archer cavalry with the level 2 in there where they could just run around and cast and be skirmish formation and shoot. Yeah, it was really, really good.
They have any line of sight anywhere. They can stay alive, keep the spells going. I'm curious to try this with a level 4. To see if it's actually just throwing spells out. I mean, yeah.
Do you think it would be worthwhile? So, do you think it would be worthwhile to raise the dead in a big unit like skirmish, and you just have a great big ball of death? Could you imagine 25
guys? Yeah,
25 are because so correct me if I'm wrong, but raise the dead, does it raise 1 model per? So would it raise
with cavalry? It takes 2 per 1.
Okay, that's fair. That's balanced.
Yeah.
Balanced.
So if you roll 10, you get 5 cavalry.
Balanced.
But no, I personally think those models need to be in the fray. You're spawning keep little skellies, use them to block, use them to get combat res. I mean, you summon 3d6 skellies or whites if you have the item for it in someone's back arc. That's a nightmare. That's a problem.
That's an immediate dispel.
Yeah, and if you can't dispel it, those guys are going to come in. They're going to hit you, negate combat res.
I think almost every I think almost every game I've lost to undead, I've lost with a combination of Danse Macabre
so
and
good.
or Raise the Dead.
So good,
So
yeah.
some combination of that just slips through, gets by. Your defenses are just not quite high enough.
Tonight, mine weren't.
And your Purple Sun got after
If
it.
you let 4 Purple Sun to Xerxes through, that might be a problem.
That might be a problem. So yeah, it was a great battle. Your cards looked awesome, and I think the last MVP for me, and I think just such a critical, facet of the game that I think almost every general needs to take, because I think everybody needs to take a BSB. There's just very few armies that a BSB is not worth it. Re-rolling the dice when you fail something as important as leadership
Or stupidity.
I mean, but even the Lizardmen have great leadership number, but then they also have the cold-blooded, the resolute ability, which allows them to do it on 3d6
We've watched
instead
you
of
fail
2.
and blunder games multiple times.
Nathan can attest that if I would not have had that banner, if I would not have just had a regular BSB, I would have at least failed 4 to 5 terror and panic tests in different places. I would have failed. I would have failed leadership, and I would have ran away and lost the game, and it just would have been over. But I did not fail them because I brought a BSB. So with Lizardmen, there's some creative ways to get a BSB in there. You can bring Teeny Weeny, the special character who's the BSB, has an awesome weapon, the totem that synergizes with the swarms. How great were the swarms?
They do their job.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think you got to have a BSB. I think very few factions can get away with it. I think
undead,
and especially against undead,
maybe part of our meta. I mean, everything causes fear. And unless you have fear, I mean, a lot of everything you're charging, you have to
take a fear test. Yeah.
Either you're running, standing still, or losing a couple weapon skill. All 3 suck.
All of them suck. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate you playing with me tonight, and it was a great game.
Yeah.
And we'll do it next time, buddy.
Good desert theme.
Good desert theme. See you, man.
Yep.